So the noise emulates once again around the Sette Laghe circuit as we get set for another pre-final here in Italy, and this is how the grid shapes up for the senior class. It's going to be Brett Ward to start from pole position. The man who grabbed every single heat win yesterday is pretty much looking unstoppable, but he's got some close opposition alongside and behind as well. Berke Besler, the Turk, is the man who starts second on the grid. Back on row 2 we have the likes of Hugo Ellis, another man for the Brits being represented here this weekend, with Sam Marsh, his teammate, right alongside. Then back to row 3 we have Olivani in car 215, and the Greek is alongside him Estratios Galimpoulos. Then to row 4 is going to be Carlos Leon, the Spaniard, with alongside him the Frenchman Giuliano Barberin. And then to row 5, just inside the top 10 for Alessandro Di Core, one of the Italians within this field, and Sol Riker Robinson, another man to watch out for. As we said during warm-up this morning, he is a man who missed Friday due to exams. He flew back Friday night. He got himself here for Saturday for the heats, but he started every single one from the back. But 10th is the good starting position that will be in for this pre-final. So again, some more positions should be made up from Sol Riker Robinson. Then to row 6 is going to be Paul Luzier from France, with alongside him the Spaniard Manuel Bejarano Campos. To row 7 we then see Julien Peugeot-Bayer, and then we've got Christopher Schnei alongside him. Back to row 8 we've got also Escatim with David Beaumont, and then the final row of the grid to round out the 18 starters we've got Etienne Perez and Stephen Letts again, who showed form this morning in warm-up. He had penalties yesterday, so he'll be starting last on the grid. The carts now work their way down towards turn 10, getting in good formation, ready for 15 laps of racing. And again, here's Chris Hartley for the start of the race.
Thanks very much indeed, Matt. Yeah, here we go. It's going to be a cracker, this, I reckon. Brett Ward's surely the favourite. Berke Besler can match him, but has this outside front row to deal with. Hugo Ellis, he's going to be one to watch, as Matt has said a couple of times today, because he's gone very well. Good overtaking. He starts third in the 214 kart. Bunching up then, this is the run into the final turn. Turn 12, the right-hander. They wait till they cross the yellow line before they can hit the accelerators, and the white line before they can overtake. The red lights go out, the race gets underway. Into the lead of the race, Brett Ward. Berke Besler swoops to the inside, but it's going to be no better than 4th place for him. Hugo Ellis is going to be the one to slot into 2nd position, and the fast-starting Olivani, who's been quick off the line every time so far this weekend, gets into 3rd place. Besler in 4th position. And then it looks like in 5th place, Galopoulos, the Greek driver. So they go down the back straight for the first time in the race. And down into the right-hander at turn 6, the race leader, Brett Ward, with a clear track ahead of him, like he's had all weekend long. And getting through the start was the important thing. But he knows it's not won yet, and he'll know how well Hugo Ellis has been going. So Hugo dips his head, just glances over the shoulder to check out how far clear of 3rd he is. There is the 215 kart, the MLC Motorsport teammate. To the race leader is Olivani in 3rd place. They come through to complete the first lap of the race. A good clean start by everybody. Not Berke's worst start, not his best start. It's okay, 4th place. If I was Berke, Matt, I'd be targeting 3rd place, and at least for one starting on the inside for the final.
Yeah, so let's see what he can do then. Berke Besler, who sits there in 4th position again. He was caught out off the start line, so he couldn't really find a gap to the inside, so he sits down there in 4th position. And again, he needs to get a hurry on with this as quick as possible to start making up positions. But of course, they've got a few more laps added on from yesterday's heats, and Berke Besler will be very quick to try and make a move on Olivani as they work their way through out of turn number 8, down towards the hairpin at turn number 9. And I think probably this is the highest Hugo's been so early on within a race, so he's got potential now to try and claw his way past Brett Ward. There goes a move. Berke Besler, nicely done down at turn number 10, so he gets himself through. Luckily there, Olivani didn't lose another place, because Sam Marsh was hot on his heels to try and get a place away as well as they come through to complete lap number 2. Down towards the first corner, Sam Marsh looking for a move to get through into 4th place, which he did briefly there, but straight away Olivani fights back to get himself into 4th position. So a great fight for 3rd. A good scrap now starting to emulate for 1st as well, because Hugo Ellis has brought the gap down to just under 0.2 of a second, and he was, 0.2 of a second quicker on that previous lap. So Hugo Ellis now really getting a move on and trying to get the job done on Brett Ward. They turn their way through the hairpin at turn number 7. Behind them, 3rd place is Berke Besler, 4th place is Olivani, and 5th place still Sam Marsh.
These two front runners in the UK in X30 racing. It's very strong, this category in the UK, and it shows, doesn't it, with British drivers filling most of the places inside the top 5. Brett Ward and Hugo Ellis 1st and 2nd. Berke Besler in a good position here in 3rd place. Pulling away from 4th position, which is Sam Marsh now, just ahead of Olivani. And then in 6th position, it is the 212 kart of Paul Luzier, who has come from 11th on the grid. So a very good start for the French driver. A bad start for Galopoulos, who at the end of the first lap had tumbled all the way down to about 16th place. He's currently in 14th position. Fastest lap of the race, as you can see on screen at telemundi.com, is David Bowman, who's been quick at times, was quick in qualifying yesterday, but Friday rather, but didn't quite get the result, the rub of the green in the races. But the tall French driver, 11th, looking to get himself a bit further up the order for the final to come. We've still got a long way to go. We're only 1/5 of the way through this race at the end of this lap. And the race leader, Brett Ward, on this one has just begun to creep away from Hugo Ellis in second place. Berke Besler is definitely closing the gap in third position. Berke's got some choices here, hasn't he, Matt? Because he's got a bit of a gap back to Sam Marsh, but he's going to have to figure out now if he's going to be delayed, held up by Hugo Ellis or not, because if not, ideally, do you sit in third place? Second place, he knows what that's like to start from, but if he goes for second, Matt, he's going to have to make sure he gets first, isn't he?
That's exactly right. He needs to go not just for the one place, but for two. So if he feels he has the speed underneath that car, then definitely go for it. But if you think you're going to be held up or probably lose more time, then the third position will probably be where you sit for this race, and probably for the first time this weekend, start on the inside run for Berke Besler. But for now, he's just thinking about what he can do, maybe making a move down to the hairpin as well. He got very close there as he came in towards the left-hander at turn number 10, but still sits in third place. But now with this slight battle going on, Brett Ward is just being able to break away out front. The gap was 0.2 of a second. It now doubles to 0.4 as they come through to complete the next lap. We are on to lap number 6, so just around about 8 or 9 laps remaining within this race. The top 3 head their way through the left-handers at turn 3 and 4. What's happening behind? Pretty close battle there for 4th and 5th as well, between Sam Marsh and the man who continues to make up places and now is the quickest man on track, 51.484. Paul Louzier, as you said, from near enough the back of the grid, has worked his way through. He's up now into 5th position. A little bit of a battle continues there. Paul Louzier, in fact, he threw on Sam Marsh up into 4th place now. He is really storming through here, the Frenchman, doing a grand job, works his way through the hairpins, but can he catch the top 3? We're around about 1.2 seconds down the road. It wouldn't be past it. It's doing a grand job so far.
Yeah, the Jane Racing driver, absolutely flying calmly very through the pack. Where's he come from, he asks, because he hasn't really been featuring in qualifying in the races so far. They've clearly worked the setup up now. It's James something, and he's driving very well. So for the first time this weekend, it seems like the car's underneath Paul, and he's showing exactly what he can do. It's been a great drive so far for him, up to 4th place. How far is he back on third? He's just over a second behind Berke Besler. Last time around, the leader did a 51.638, 51.62 for Hugo Ellis, 51.62 as well for Berke Besler, who was 5 thousandths quicker than him. However, Hugo Ellis has got the hurry-up call here because he's just set the fastest first sector of anybody in the race so far. He knows that Berke is coming. Berke might decide not to attack, though, if he can afford the opportunity. It depends how close Paul Louzier gets to his tail in the second half of the race. And the longer this goes on, the better for Brett Ward. He's beginning to creep away from them now. Over the line they go. Brett Ward at 51.6 is so consistent. 51.6 for Ellis. 51.5 for Berke Besler. Berke is going for it down the inside, up to second place. Berke has decided, I think, Matt, that he's got time enough to try and close the gap to Brett Ward and get pole position for the final.
Yeah, he feels he's quicker than Hugo Ellis, so why not go for it? Try and get past and try and catch up with Brett Ward in at the same instant as well. So let's see now if Brett Ward can bring this probably a gain in, actually. It was half a second across the line, but it may just be a little bit more on this lap after that move. But Berke Besler is starting to catch up with Brett Ward. He's taking with him Hugo Ellis in kart 214. And watch out as well still for Paul Louzier, who's bringing the gap down. It is now just a second between 3rd and 4th, so probably don't rule him out of a top 3 finish in this pre-final as well. So watch out for Paul Louzier, who goes through the picture in 4th place. 5th place is still 227, which is Sam Marsh. 6th place then for the Brit, which is Ollie Varney. 7th place for the man who was quickest early on, David Bowman. And then 8th place, a man who also has come from near enough the back here, Christopher Chennai, just ahead of Carlos Leon. And 10th place at the minute is 220, which is Julian Barberin, the Frenchman, as well. So that's how the order looks now as we have just crept over half race distance in this 15-lap senior race. There is the leader, Brett Ward, down towards the hairpin at turn 7. And definitely, Chris, Berke Besler is quicker again, isn't he? The gap has come down to 0.4 of a second.
Yeah, 10th quicker on the previous lap. This is about where we've been, isn't it, in the racing, the qualifying so far. Ward with his nose in front, Besler close to him, and Ellis the third best. That's kind of settled into the rhythm so far. What I would say is that every time Besler has had to fight his way back to second place after these tricky starts, he's never been this close before. The best he managed, I think, was 1.5 seconds behind Brett Ward in the second heat by the time he got back up to second place. But this time, he's only had just over half a second to try and close. So he's in a much, much better opportunity. Plus, he's got a longer race rather, to try and close the gap down. And he's doing it. Again, he finds a 1/10 of a second. And if he keeps doing that, in 3 laps' time, he's going to be on the tail of Brett Ward, and that will give him 3 laps to try and find a way through. But trying to find a way past a driver who is almost going around at exactly the same speed as you is not going to be easy. Brett Ward will, I'm sure, soon sense the engine whirring in the back of his helmet, though. He'll hear the noise coming. He'll know that the Turkish driver, Berke Besler, is almost with him. Out through the final couple of corners they come. That gap, I'm sure, has come down again. And Berke Besler goes through. And 51.4, fastest lap of the race for Berke Besler. He's got the gap down to just about 0.3 of a second. Again, best part of a 1/10 quicker on that lap. You can see the gap coming down visually. 51.5 for the leader, 51.4 for Besler, 51.6 for Hugo Ellis. He's just falling away a little bit now in 3rd position. Great drive from Paul Lussier to get up to 4th place from the 6th row of the grid. And you've got Sam Marsh in 5th, Oliver Varney in 6th place, David Beaumont in 7th, Christopher Shani has had a good drive through to 8th place, Carlos Leon is 9th, and then we've got Robinson in 10th place. David Bowman, by the way, has just got past Oliver Varney and into the top 6. So here are our top 2, through the left at turn 11, through the right at turn 12. Look how quick the karts are as they go through to start another lap. We're into the final third of the race now. And by the end of this lap, Matt, Berke is going to be within striking distance, isn't he?
Yeah, even on that previous lap, he was a lot closer. The gap is coming down and down between the top 2. All that Brett Ward really needs to do is kind of keep his lines. Don't go defensive, because that's when you start to lose out to the man who is starting to chase and catch, as we said. Berke Besler, quickest lap of the race once more, 51.415. So he is on a real charge now, and probably the best he's performed all weekend long here in what is a very crucial pre-final. Again, he's much closer through the hairpin at turn number 9. There's just going to be a few more laps to go now. It's going to be 3 to go at the end of this one. Brett Ward and Berke Besler, your top 2. They've now managed to pull away from our 3rd place man, which is still Hugo Ellis, and still a great scrap going on for 4th place as well between Paul Lussier and Sam Marsh as well. So we'll keep an eye on that one, as well as keep an eye on the leaders as well, because that is the most crucial battle to try and steal pole position away for the final later on this afternoon. Does Berke try anything at turn 3? Not as of yet. So again, he's just biding his time. And to be fair now, if he did want to finish in 3rd, it's not going to happen, is it? Because Hugo Ellis is a long way back, and he won't really drop off to that amount of time. So he's going to have to try and get through as best as possible. But for now, it looks like Brett Ward has just got this one under control. He started to pull away gradually on this next lap. The gap now stretches to just around about 1/4 of a second. So he's looking good for his 4th win of the weekend, his first here on Sunday. But Brett Ward heading down towards the hairpin at turn 10. Will Berke Besler go for an unusual move? Probably not. He's going to try and keep it as clean as possible, I'd say.
Robinson and Galopoulos on that lap, both moving ahead of Leon. So up to 9th for Robinson, up to 10th place for Galopoulos. Through they come to complete another lap, nose to tail for the top 2. Berke, in one sense, has kind of got to go for this to make sure he gets pole position and the inside line. But if there's a calamity, if they crash into each other, I'd rather be second on the grid than at the back of the grid. So he's got to consider it. And he's got a longer final. He's got 5 more laps in the final, even if he has a bad start, to try and catch up. So that's the part of me that says, be careful. You've got longer, you still could win this from second on the grid in the final. And the part of me that thinks, yeah, it's so important to be on the inside, thinks you probably should go for it, but we'll wait and see. He's only going to be able to go for it, though. Brett Ward gives him the chance, and Brett has been able to just keep him at arm's length for the last lap or so. In fact, it feels like he's pulling away a little bit on this lap. The gap just 1.5 tenths of a second as they crossed the line last time around. They're going to be coming through with 1 more lap to go, 1 more lap to hang on for Brett Ward. 3 tenths, nearly 4 tenths of a second. So Brett did pull away on that lap, and that's very impressive. But Berke's had a good start to this lap. Matty closes in on the way through turn 2, through turn 3. And he's back within a kart length or so of the race leader with just half a lap to go.
He's only going to have a couple more opportunities to try and get through. So one of those will be at the hairpin at turn 7. But again, not quite close enough down the back straight. So he's going to have to now try in towards the last hairpin on this final lap. He works his way through. But for now, Brett Ward has done a good enough job by the looks of it. Just 2 more corners to go. He goes defensive in towards the hairpin at turn number 9. He accelerates down towards the left-hander. And now Berke Besler is trying every single thing he can. Round the outside at turn number 10. That's not quite going to work unless he can get a good cut back. He's on the bumper of Brett Ward into the final couple of corners. Can he get it done? I don't think he can. He's flat out to the checker flag. And Brett Ward takes another win here in the X30 Euro Series, a win within the senior pre-final. He gets it. He's happy ahead of Berke Besler.
Do you see him clench his fist then, Brett Ward, as he crossed the line? He knew how important that was to take the victory. And Berke Besler threw everything at him, didn't he, on the final lap of the race? The final 2 corners, really. And Brett Ward was having to look over his left shoulder, over his right shoulder, trying to drive the kart in a straight line as well. But he soaked up the pressure there. Super impressed with the way Brett did that, because for the last third of the race, he knew Berke was on his case and he knew how important it was to stay ahead of him. And that lap, 2 to go, that pulled him clear was the decisive manoeuvre in the end. So Brett Ward, the winner for MLC Motorsport. He'll start the final on pole position. Berke Besler for Bouvon Power, second. Hugo Ellis for Vital Motorsport, third. Sam Marsh for Dan Holland Racing in fourth place. A great drive from Paul Lucier for Jane Racing to come through and gain 6 places in that race to 5th position. And David Bowman also with a very good drive to gain 10 places and finish in 6th place. So well done to the 2 fast sprint drivers coming through to 5th and 6th. Ollie Varney finishes in 7th place. Christoph Shani gained 6 places to 8th. Sean Riker-Robinson in 9th place. And then Guillaume Barbaran rounded out the top 10 in what was a fantastic senior